Okay, so now we have our text in here, right? It is sanitized. Actually, we should make sure we didn't. That was the title. I didn't miss a return there. Forgive me. Um, so we sanitize our text. It's sanitized, right? It doesn't look good yet, right? I'm telling you, this does not look good. Um, the next thing we have to do is add page numbers. So to do that, you need to understand a concept called master pages. So I have it set up like this. This is pretty close to the default way it's set up, I believe. Um, if anything is different about this, please let me know. In such a way that you can't access it, right? So it's under pages. The symbol looks like two pages, kind of dog-eared next to each other. So if you don't see this menu, the pages one, it's in Window, Pages. You can also press F12. I just use the menu. To each their own. So here we have the masters. It will always give you, by default, a master page. And it will have an option to have no master attached to a page. So this is called the A. It says A master, right? Hopefully you can see this. I've not zoomed in. If you have trouble seeing it, let me know. So A master, right? And then all these pages have a little A in the corner. What that means is that they have the A master applied to them. So what the heck is a master page? So to access the master page will have stuff in it and styles associated with it that we will use throughout the document. So it will allow us to, one primary thing it does is that it reduces the amount of work we have to do. So one of the things it does is, let's go in there. So we click into the master page, right? This is a spread because we said facing pages. And we zoom out and we see the master page is two pages spread next to each other, and there's nothing in them, right? So what we want to do is add page numbers. So I'm going to put them, let's say, so where you place the page numbers is an aesthetic decision which you have to make. We'll talk about where you might place page numbers in a second, but so we put a text box here. I'm just going to put here, I'm going to put 10 just to look, or 12, sorry. I'm just going to type the number 12, and then I'm going to center it within this box, and then I'll move it later. I'm going to make them a little bigger. So I'm going to try to use all Adobe fonts just for this, just so it's something that you in theory have access to. I'm going to use, these are not Adobe fonts. Let's use just Bellow Caps Pro. I like this typeface a lot. Bellow is a typeface by Underwear. I'll just open it for you. Just take a look. If you have access to Adobe Creative Cloud, you should have access to a Adobe fonts. Bellow Caps Pro. Great handwritten looking font by Underwear. They are a great foundry. Just putting it out there. A little bonus knowledge for you. Anyway, so what I want to do is make this kind of look like it, at least look like it aligns better with the page. Do you have any spaces here? Okay. So we have one in the middle here. And we're going to do the same. We're just going to copy it out. Right? Ooh, we did not copy it. We do that. Let's actually do it like this. Sorry. Press it Alt and dragging, and then we're putting in the middle. So now this should be in the same place on both pages. So I did that, right? And I look at each page. I go out of the master document, and I look at my regular pages. And I see each page now has the number 12 on it. It's not how books work, right? We need the numbers to change with the page number. So to do that, we do the following. We click this. You say edit type, insert special character, insert special character, markers, and then these are the page ones. So I will say current page number, right? And then I will go to, I'm back in the master just to make sure I select this and I say type, insert special character, markers, current page number. I have not memorized the keyboard shortcut with this program, but that's not something that you do with. You need to do fast enough that for me, I'm cool with not knowing it. So it says now. You look at this. It says A. A. That's not a number. So however, if we go back out to our pages, we see that the page numbers are on each page. Right? So we did the thing. I'm going to hide the stuff so we can just see the page numbers, right? So this looks good to me, right? So here's the thing. Just make sure we know this and we are saying it out loud. Page numbers should be such that the odd page number is on the right and the even ones are on the left. So it should be 3 is this side, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. That is how books work. That is a rule. If you do not do that, you're allowed to not do that. However, it is wrong. So here's the other thing. We've got an issue that we've created. All the pages have our master associated with them, right? So all the pages are A. So we want to do two things. We want to get rid of the page numbers here and probably on the back cover. Yes, on the back cover. We want to get rid of the page numbers on the front cover, the inside cover, the back cover, and maybe the inside back cover. So that's one thing. The other thing we want to do is make this start page 1 instead of 3. So let's do that first. So we do that. To do that, we're in Pages again, the Pages menu. And we click here, and we say, we right-click on the page. It could be Control-click if you're on a Mac and you don't have access to a mouse. I'm right-clicking or Control-clicking on a Mac, and I'm saying Numbering and Section Options. Numbering and Section Options. So I right-click on the specific page, Numbering and Section Options, and then I go Start Section. Start Section is checked, and I say Start Page Numbering At, and it defaults to 1. So this stuff we don't need to change. We just say OK, and we see there's a comma here, and there's it's a new section that started here, and it starts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's lovely. That's what we want. That is great. So how do we get rid of these dang page numbers? You can create a new master. The easiest thing is to just apply no master to these pages. So to apply a master, you drag the page from the master onto the page in the pages dialog. So we say none. We drag the none one, and we drag it to the pages. We drag it onto the page. Now these have no A there. There's no A, indicating that it has no master applied to it. So again, this is just file etiquette. I'm going to press Control S. I've done the thing, and it's looking good. So the problem is we got to fix this. There's a blank page here, but we're going to change the text. We're going to add some stuff, so we're not worried about that yet. The other thing is to think about. This is an aesthetic component. Where would you put the page numbers? You can put the page numbers any number of places, right? So a good place to read about this is, I've possibly mentioned this before, Grid Systems. I'll link it in the page. So there's a book, the book on making grids in graphic design is called Grid System by Josef Müller-Brockmann. And there's a section, I have the book in physical reality, however, it's in an office that I do not have access to. So on page 42, he talks about page numbering. It's going to take a while to load because I think these are pretty... This is a good PDF that has high resolution images. Forgive me, letting it load. So I think this is a book you kind of need to read at some point if you're doing graphic designs. It's the book on modernist, modernist grid systems and kind of approaches to type and laying things out. So we're not talking about grids right now, but there is a great section where he talks about where to put page numbers. It says 42, pagina. So this is in both English and German. If you speak German, good for you. So he talks about different places to place page numbers and why you do that. The long and short of it is, is that you can put them most any place and anywhere you want. However, you want to think about how that influences the perception of the design that you want. So if you were to place them on the sides of the page, right, you would, because they're on the sides of the page, it creates more of a sense of motion, right? It's going from left to right. It feels like there's a sense of motility and a slightly greater sense of urgency in the way the pages are numbered. You might also, again, I'm placing these arbitrarily without a grid. You should think about, we'll talk about adding grids and stuff like that later. We also hid the margin too. So that's Control or Command. Control on Windows and Command on a Mac, and semicolon that shows and hides the margins. So if we just align it a little better, if we did something like this, where the pages are more dynamically different, each spread is different, this creates an even greater sense of motion and urgency in which we'd want to move between the pages. So I've decided, this is my aesthetic decision I've made on my own terms, that I want to go fairly traditional. However, I want to add a little character. So I've used Bellow Caps Pro because I think that has it's handwritten, but it's kind of closer to brush like advertising type. So I think that's a fun choice that I've made there as far as the actual type choice. And then I've placed them in the middle because I want to remain relatively traditional, and I want to keep the pages feeling, I want to keep the page numbers centered so they feel relatively static. So here's one pro tip. One thing you may want to do is to do something like this. Rather than have page numbers on each page, you may want the current page number and the next page number, insert special character, markers, next page number, on the same page, right? That may be a thing you want to do. That is a permissible design choice. I don't know if that feels weird to you. Sometimes I've said that and people are like, that seems weird to me. And that's okay if it feels weird to you. But I'm letting you know, it's possible. So here's the problem that you will encounter. Is that it says 2 and 2, 4 and 4, 6 and 6. That is wrong, right? To fix that, we need to do a weird little thing. To create like a phantom text box. So we go here. We just create a little text box here. Do that. I press Control or Command H to actually show the outlines, and then I'm going to say View and Show Text Threads. Extras. So it's View Extras, Show Text Threads. We want to just click this and click in this, clicking it into here. So I'm clicking this. There's a little arrow in the middle right of this text box, and I'm clicking into this one. This creates a link between these two text boxes, right? We want to put that text box on the next page. Anywhere, it doesn't matter, but as long as it's small and unobtrusive, that is the goal. So when we do that, we see that the current and next page numbers are on. Ooh, a little jump in the audio. When we do that, we see that we got current and next page numbers on the same page. With a little pro tip, that's page numbers. There you go. Bye.